Thank you for joining us for part 2 on the Red Couch with Arlene Sweeting. Everything that you've done, it seems, is all about bringing people together, forming community, helping people feel like they belong and are connected. How has that helped you personally?
It's helped tremendously. I mean, it's helped me feel grounded and connected, and the other organization that I'm involved with that I started here is the Peace Education and Action Center. And so much, I think, of the violence that we see in the world is because people become isolated, they become disconnected. And so in that work, it's really important, I think, also, you know, to bring people together. And it became important to me, really. As I said, I was more involved in environmental justice and environmental work when I moved to Florida. I grew up in the Bahamas, so I was always very close to the water. I spent like half my life on the water. And then, you know, I was up in Washington, D.C. in that area for about 10 years. So moving back here, I really wanted to get back involved in environmental, you know, being outdoors, but also on issues of protecting the environment. So that's why I got involved with the Sierra Club. But help me refocus there. I got off on a tangent.
Well, just about how it's helped you in terms of your own sense of community and feeling like you've gained from being a part of. I mean, you've created
I know where I was
things.
going with that. Okay, so it was the Peace Center. So where did I get into the Peace Center stuff at all? Because the environment really was my focus for a while. But after we started the coffee house, I was attracted to a workshop that was going on actually up in North Carolina, and it was being sponsored by Coleman McCarthy, who's the founder of the Center for Teaching Peace in Washington, D.C. Right. It was a week of nonviolence training, and it was a transformational week for me, and just being in the presence of the other people there who were committed to peace and nonviolence, and his presence especially, a man who is totally committed to living his life in a nonviolent manner. And as a teacher, I connected with him on many different levels, and the stories that he would tell. And really, it made me want to change the focus of my life when I moved back here. I mean, it was that powerful. And, you know, one of the stories he'll tell is that he does a quiz. He teaches for free at a high school in Washington, D.C., one of the lowest income schools. You know, it's like the closest to the White House, and it's got the, you know, the lowest income population. And he just volunteers his time there, basically, and teaches his peace studies course. And actually, some of the kids that have interned at the station have taken his course. So I've seen the impact that he's had on students' lives as well. And he does this quiz, and he has $100 he pulls out of his pocket, which is always a good way to get students' attention, you know? And he says, okay, if you can answer these questions, you know, you can get this $100. And so he says, first I'm going to give you a few names, and I want to see if you can identify them. So he's like, Robert E. Lee. And all the hands in the room go up, right? Oh, yeah, great general during the Civil War, right? Ulysses S. Grant, you know, and once again, lots of people can answer that question, right? Great general, Civil War, you know, North. And Paul Revere. And Revolutionary War, you know. He's like, oh, great, you're doing great. This is easy money, right? All right, let's try again. So then he'll throw out Emily Balch. And no hands raised. So he tells the story of Emily Balch, which winds up with she's the founder of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and she won the Nobel Peace Prize, but nobody knows of her. Jeanette Rankin, she was the first woman elected to Congress from Montana. She was a pacifist. She was a Republican. She was the only person to vote against going to war in World War I.
Wow, I didn't know.
And then, of course, she was voted out because he says you can't vote against war and be reelected. And her quote at that time was, you can no more win a war than you can win an earthquake. So she left Congress and she went back to teaching. And so she taught, and then she wound up, after many years, going back and being reelected to Congress, and it was right before the start of World War II. And so she wound up being the only person to vote against going to war in World War II also. Wow. That was Jeanette Rankin. And then he'll throw out a third person, a female, you know, who once again was active in the peace movement in some way, and rarely, if ever, can anyone identify her. So his point is, you know, we learn about the men who make the war, but very little about the women who make the peace. And not that men don't make peace too, because there are very many great male peacemakers. But being a woman and a peacemaker, you're even less lower on the totem pole in terms of
and your voice is less heard.
And your voice is less heard for sure. Yes, and your story is less told, which is, you know, why people say her story, you know, because we have history. Where's her story?
Right, right.
So, yeah.
You know,
So, yeah, so, you know, that, like I said, just hearing all of his stories and seeing how he was living his life. I've been a vegetarian, you know, ever since then, just because, and not for health reasons, but because of the way that we treat animals in our factory farming system here in this country. You know, I don't want to support the violence that we do to animals in this country. So, and so we came back, and Joyce and I were on the Southwest Florida Coalition for Peace and Justice here. And that was kind of a loose affiliation, a lot of faith-based groups, with a few just nonprofit groups that were part of that as well. And, you know, come together to network and stuff every month. And we looked at, well, how do we really bring this to the community and raise peace education and get it into the schools? And we started working on that and realized that we needed to be a 501c3 recognized nonprofit in order to go into the schools. We needed to not be affiliated with faith-based organizations, and we needed to be able to apply for grant funding and stuff. So we started our own nonprofit basically to do that.
So do you actually go into schools and teach peace?
Not at this point. I'll tell you, we started out very gung-ho and very small group of people, and I actually brought Coleman McCarthy down, and he spoke to about 300 kids at Booker High School.
Wow.
And then he spoke at New College also, which was great. And then we put on Teach Peace conferences for 3 years running, which were free to educators, you know, and brought in some great people to share. But what we found was that we didn't get a lot of support in the school system. Or from the school system. And even like in Manatee County, when we approached them about just making educators aware of the conference, they said, oh no, we can't circulate that information because peace is political. So if peace is political, what? War is okay. You know, so it was frustrating. It was very frustrating, and it was a lot of energy and effort we were putting into it, and we didn't feel like we were getting a lot of results. So, and at that time, the radio station came along. So we kind of took a hiatus and started to reevaluate the organization a little bit.
I mean, all the things you've done, you've really founded, started, created. Mm-hmm. And along the way, when anybody puts themselves out there and really tries to create something that's new, you're often met with self-doubt, resistance, criticism. How do you handle that? How do you stay true to your mission?
I think that's what it is. You stay true to your mission. If you believe in your mission, it doesn't really matter what people are saying around you or outside you. You know what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing.
And if you have a community of people that
are
support
supporting
you.
it. Yeah, and that really see the need for it as well. You know, so they give you that feedback and they give you that support either with their time or with their money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Tell me about just a few of the fun programming that you do on the station. What are some of them?
Oh,
I know you
wow.
can't list them all, but
well, you know, we have great local talk shows, and one of the new ones, I guess it's been on like a year and a half now. It's called Maternally Yours, and it's a collective of women working together, which is a model that I really like. So it's not an individual just saying I can do it all. You know, this is 4 women who have come together, who basically are all big supporters of midwifery and very supporters of young mothers and wanting them to get the information that they need in order to raise healthy children.
Love it.
And so they do a fantastic job, and what a supportive community they have. You know, it's really great, and I think they're helping to grow that community here, you know. So they do shows on, you know, the importance of connecting your child to nature. Their show yesterday was about nap time, you know, and just breastfeeding, you know, everything that a young mother, you know, might need to know. They're out there.
That is wonderful.
Oh, they do a super job. We have a nutrition show, which is fantastic, you know, a Sustainable Sarasota show, which talks about how we grow more sustainably, both economically, environmentally, socially, you know, and brings all of those aspects together. Then we have a great deal of music programming, you know, of any type of music you want to name, folk, world, blues, jazz,
The whole
you know,
gamut.
electronic, hip hop, you know, it's all there. And it's just great to see how these people, how they come in and they develop confidence and their shows progress. And, you know, we have some really, really high quality programming. These folks, you know, at the station do a tremendous job. It amazes me, you know, because I know the time that they put in and that they continue to do it. Like some people have been there for 7 years now. We've been on the air for 7.5 years, and I'm like, why do they keep coming back?
I'm happy they're here.
I love that they're here, but it just, you know, because I know it's just a labor of love for them, you know, whether it's sharing the music that means so much to them or trying to get information out that they think is important for people. So yeah, it's a great community to be a part of.
It is wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you had the courage to really start it and create it and collaborate and make it happen.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So if you had one secret to living a happy and successful life, what would it be?
I think what I try to teach my children is to live in alignment with your values, which, you know, in this world, it's not an easy thing to do. There are always choices to be made. And so it's really to live a conscious life, to try to be informed, to make the right decision. An example of that, because one way that it's not always easy to live your values is where you put your money, right?
That's really a good point.
Right. You know, what you buy in your supermarkets, what you buy in your clothing stores, but then where you invest also. So this week was actually Eat Local Week. It's still going on. And the beginning of Eat Local Week was a keynote presentation by Woody Tash. And Woody is the founder of Slow Money. There's also a book he wrote, Slow Money. Yeah. Investing as if food, farms, and fertility matter.
Wow.
And he used
Great
to be
title.
this high-stakes financial investor, you know, dealing with millions of dollars and stuff. And he just got to the point where, you know, money is moving too fast. We don't even know where it is. You know, you invest in something and it's traded so many times and the derivatives and all the, he's like, this is not, I'm not involved in something I like anymore, you know, I can't. And so he's trying to slow money down basically and say, we need to invest locally where we live, you know, in things that we value. So how do we invest in local food? And there's not really a structure to do that. So he's trying to create one with these slow money groups. So, yeah. And so far, he's been pretty successful. I think they've raised $23 million that have been reinvested in local communities and local food systems. So it's a growing movement where people are saying, you know, maybe it's not as important that I get a high return on my money as that I know that I'm investing in something I believe in and in something I value and something that's going to benefit my community. So, you know, I can invest in oil companies and I can get a high return, but what is actually happening to the world because of that investment, what the pollution that's going on, you know, and so how do we stop investing in things that are destroying our environment and put our money in things that are actually going to help bring positive change?
I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to you for investing your time and your energy in really meaningful, important work.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. I'm happy that you're doing this because I'm getting to learn about some fabulous women from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the Red Couch.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us
on the Red Couch.